Geography terms. Continent. A massive landmass that is distinct from others by size and geography. Earth has 7 continents such as Asia, Africa, and Europe. Hemisphere. One half of the Earth, usually divided into northern and southern, or eastern and western halves. Latitude. A geographical coordinate that specifies a location's distance north or south of the equator, measured in degrees. Longitude. A coordinate that specifies a location's distance east or west of the prime meridian. Equator. An imaginary line around the Earth that is equidistant from the poles and divides the planet into northern and southern hemispheres. Prime meridian. The Earth's 0-degree longitude line, passing through Greenwich, England, used as the starting point for measuring longitude. Archipelago. A group or chain of islands clustered together in a sea or ocean. Peninsula. A landform surrounded by water on 3 sides, but connected to the mainland. Plateau. A flat, elevated landform that rises sharply above surrounding areas on at least one side. Delta. A triangular or fan-shaped landform where a river splits before entering a larger body of water, often rich in nutrients. Isthmus. A narrow strip of land that connects 2 larger land areas and is bordered by water on both sides. Topography. The detailed mapping or charting of the features of an area, both natural and man-made. Cartography. The science and art of creating maps to represent geographical data. Basin. A depression in the Earth's surface, often containing water or formed by tectonic activity. Watershed. An area of land where all water drains into a common body of water, such as a river, bay, or lake. Cliff. A steep face of rock or earth, often found by the sea or mountains. Canyon. A deep gorge typically carved by a river through a plateau or mountainous region. Valley. A low area between hills or mountains, usually with a river running through it. Mountain range. A series of connected mountains formed through tectonic forces or volcanic activity. Glacier. A slow-moving mass of ice formed from compacted layers of snow, typically found in polar or mountainous regions. Tundra. A flat and treeless Arctic region where the subsoil is permanently frozen, limiting vegetation. Savanna. A grassy plain in tropical and subtropical regions with few trees and seasonal rainfall. Desert. A barren area of land with little rainfall and sparse vegetation. Rainforest. A dense forest rich in biodiversity, typically found in tropical areas with heavy rainfall year-round. Coastline. The area where land meets the ocean or sea, often shaped by erosion and tides. Island. A piece of land completely surrounded by water. Sea level. The average level of the ocean's surface used as a base for measuring elevation and depth. Elevation. The height of a place above sea level. Erosion. The process by which natural forces like wind or water wear away soil and rock. Sediment. Particles of soil, sand, and minerals that are carried and deposited by wind, water, or ice. Volcano. An opening in the Earth's surface where molten rock, ash, and gases can escape during eruptions. Tectonic plate. Large sections of Earth's crust that move and interact, causing earthquakes, mountain formation, and volcanic activity. Fault line. A fracture in Earth's crust along which movement has occurred, often causing earthquakes. Crater. A circular depression created by volcanic activity or meteorite impacts. Geological timescale. a system of chronological dating that relates geological strata to time, helping scientists study Earth's history. Cave, a hollow or natural underground chamber formed by weathering or erosion. Geyser, a spring that intermittently spouts hot water and steam due to geothermal activity. Hydrosphere, all the water on Earth, including oceans, lakes, rivers, glaciers, and atmospheric moisture. Biosphere, the global ecosystem comprising all living organisms and their relationships to each other and the environment. Lithosphere, the rigid outer layer of the Earth, including the crust and the upper mantle. Atmosphere, the layer of gases surrounding Earth, crucial for life, weather, and climate regulation. Strait, a narrow waterway connecting two larger bodies of water. Floodplain, flat land near a river prone to flooding during heavy rains or overflow. Estuary, a coastal area where fresh water from rivers mixes with salt water from the ocean. Reservoir, a large natural or artificial lake used for storing water for human use. Oasis, a fertile spot in a desert where water is found, often supporting vegetation and life. Map scale, a ratio that compares a distance on the map to the actual distance on the ground. Compass rose, a symbol on maps that shows cardinal directions, north, east, south, west. GPS, Global Positioning System, a satellite-based navigation system used to determine precise location anywhere on Earth. Geographic Information System, GIS, a computer system used for capturing, storing, and analyzing geographic and spatial data. Environmental vocabulary. Ecosystem, a community of living organisms interacting with each other and with their non-living environment like soil, water, and air. Biodiversity, the variety of life forms within a given ecosystem, region, or the entire planet, including plants, animals, and microorganisms. Carbon footprint, the total amount of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, produced by human activities such as driving or manufacturing. Greenhouse effect, the process by which certain gases like CO and methane trap heat in Earth's atmosphere, warming the planet. Global warming, the gradual increase in Earth's average surface temperature due to rising levels of greenhouse gases. Climate change, a long-term shift in global or regional climate patterns, often linked to human activities and environmental changes. Deforestation, the removal or clearing of large areas of forests, often for agriculture, logging, or development. Afforestation, the process of planting trees in barren or deforested land to create a forested area. Reforestation, the replanting of trees in areas where forests have been cut down or destroyed. Pollution, the introduction of harmful substances or products into the environment, affecting air, water, and soil quality. Air pollution, contamination of the atmosphere by pollutants such as smoke, dust, gases, and chemicals. Water pollution, the degradation of water quality due to the presence of toxic substances or waste. Soil erosion, the wearing away of the topsoil layer, often caused by wind, water, or human activities. Soil erosion, the wearing away of the topsoil layer, often caused by wind, water, or human activities. Acid rain, rainfall that has been made acidic by pollutants in the air, damaging plants, aquatic life, and infrastructure. Sustainability, the practice of using natural resources in a way that meets current needs without compromising future generations. Renewable resource. A natural resource that can be replenished over time, such as solar energy, wind, and biomass. Non-renewable resource. A natural resource that cannot be replaced once it is used, such as coal, oil, and natural gas. Fossil fuels. Energy resources like coal, oil, and natural gas formed from ancient organic matter under the Earth's surface. Solar energy. Energy derived from sunlight, used for electricity, heating, and more. Wind energy. Power generated by converting wind currents into electricity using turbines. Hydropower. Electricity generated by the movement of water, typically through dams or flowing rivers. Biodegradable. Substances that can naturally decompose or break down in the environment without causing pollution. Compost. Decomposed organic material used to fertilize and enrich soil. Recycling. The process of converting waste materials into new products to reduce resource use and pollution. Conservation. The protection, preservation, and careful management of natural resources and environments. Habitat. The natural environment in which a plant, animal, or other organism lives and grows. Endangered species. A species at risk of extinction due to declining population or habitat loss. Extinct. A species that no longer exists anywhere on Earth. Ozone layer. A protective layer of gas in the Earth's atmosphere that absorbs harmful ultraviolet UV radiation. Carbon emissions. The release of carbon, especially CO2, into the atmosphere from burning fossil fuels and other activities. Climate mitigation. Strategies to reduce or prevent the emission of greenhouse gases and slow global warming. Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA. A study to predict the environmental effects of proposed projects or developments. Ecological footprint. A measure of how much a person or community consumes compared to the Earth's ability to regenerate those resources. Natural resource management. The sustainable handling of natural resources like land, water, soil, and forests. Desertification. The process by which fertile land becomes desert, usually due to drought, deforestation, or poor farming practices. Overfishing. Harvesting fish from oceans or lakes faster than they can reproduce, leading to population decline. Coral bleaching. A stress response in coral reefs often caused by warming oceans, where corals expel the algae that give them color and nutrients. Ecotourism. Environmentally responsible travel to natural areas that promotes conservation and benefits local communities. Green technology. Technological innovations that are environmentally friendly and help reduce carbon emissions and waste. Urban greening. The practice of creating green spaces in cities through tree planting, parks, and green roofs. E-waste. Electronic waste from discarded devices such as phones, computers, and TVs, which may contain toxic substances. Marine pollution. The introduction of harmful substances into oceans and seas, affecting marine life and ecosystems. Watershed management. The process of organizing and directing land and water use in a watershed to conserve resources. Carbon neutrality. A state in which an individual or organization balances out the amount of carbon it emits by reducing or offsetting emissions. Greenhouse gas GHG. Gases like CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide that trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere. Zero waste. A philosophy that encouraged the redesign of resource life cycles so that all products are reused and no trash is sent to landfills. Sustainable agriculture. Farming that meets food needs while preserving environmental quality and supporting farmer livelihoods. Rewilding, the process of restoring ecosystems by reintroducing native species and letting nature take its course. Environmental justice, the fair treatment and involvement of all people in environmental laws and policies, regardless of race, income, or background. Urban development vocabulary. Urbanization, the process by which rural areas become urban through population growth and the expansion of cities. Infrastructure, the fundamental physical systems of a city, including transportation, utilities, water, and power. Zoning, the division of a city into zones for different purposes like residential, commercial, or industrial development. Land use, the way land is developed and used, such as for housing, agriculture, industry, or recreation. Urban sprawl, the uncontrolled expansion of urban areas into surrounding rural land, often leading to environmental degradation. Smart city, a city that uses digital technology and data to improve efficiency, sustainability, and quality of life. Urban planning, the technical and political process of designing and managing the development of cities and towns. Mixed-use development, a type of urban development that combines residential, commercial, and recreational spaces in one area. Public transport, mass transportation systems such as buses, trains, and subways that move people efficiently through urban areas. Walkability, the degree to which an area is pedestrian-friendly, promoting walking as a safe and convenient mode of transport. Gentrification, the process of urban renewal that often displaces low-income residents as neighborhoods become more affluent. Affordable housing, housing that is financially accessible to people with low or moderate incomes. High-rise building, a tall building typically used for housing or offices that contains many floors and elevators. Urban renewal, programs and efforts to redevelop aging or rundown parts of a city to improve infrastructure and housing. City council, the legislative body that governs a city and makes decisions on budgets, policies, and city planning. Municipality, a local administrative unit with its own government, such as a town, city, or district. Downtown, the central business district of a city, often characterized by high economic activity and dense development. Urban core, the densely built and populated central area of a city. Peri-urban area, the transitional zone between urban and rural areas, often undergoing rapid change. Slum, a densely populated area of a city marked by poor housing and inadequate access to services. Megacity, a city with a population exceeding 10 million people. Urban density, the number of people living in a given urban area, often measured per square kilometer or mile. Green belt, an area of open land around a city, kept free from development to preserve nature and limit urban sprawl. Urban heat island, an urban area significantly warmer than surrounding rural areas due to human activity and infrastructure. Public space, areas in a city open and accessible to all, such as parks, plazas, and sidewalks. Transit-oriented development, TOD, urban development designed around public transport hubs to reduce car use and promote sustainable mobility. Suburb, a residential area located on the outskirts of a city. Urban poverty, poverty experienced by individuals living in city environments, often related to housing, employment, and services. Cityscape, the visual appearance or layout of a city, including buildings, roads, and open spaces. Urban ecology, the study of ecosystems in urban environments and how humans interact with their surroundings. Urban sustainability, efforts to develop cities in a way that meets present needs without compromising future generations. Gated community, a residential area with restricted access, often enclosed by walls or fences for security and privacy. City Planning Commission, a government body that reviews and approves proposals related to urban development. Urban infrastructure, the combined systems and structures supporting a city's functionality, such as roads, bridges, and sewage. Rent control, government regulations that limit the amount landlords can charge for rent to protect tenants from high costs. Mixed income housing, residential developments that include housing units for people with varying levels of income. Master plan, a comprehensive plan guiding the long-term growth and development of a city or region. Civic amenities, basic services and facilities provided in urban areas, including schools, parks, and healthcare centers. Land reclamation, the process of creating new land from oceans, rivers, or lakes to support urban growth. Urban resilience, a city's ability to withstand and recover from challenges like natural disasters, economic shifts, or social unrest. Urban corridor, a linear area characterized by concentrated development and transportation routes. Smart grid, an electricity supply network that uses digital communications to detect and react to local changes in usage. Brownfield site, previously developed land, often contaminated, that is reused for new construction after cleanup. Vertical farming, growing crops in vertically stacked layers, often inside buildings, to save space in urban settings. Urban agriculture, the practice of cultivating, processing, and distributing food in or around cities. Sustainable urban drainage system, SUDS, a drainage approach that reduces runoff and mimics natural water processes to manage flooding and pollution. Community development, efforts to improve the social and economic well-being of neighborhoods through local initiatives. Urban migration, the movement of people from rural to urban areas in search of better employment, education, and services. Built environment, the human-made surroundings where people live, work, and interact, including buildings, parks, and infrastructure. Urban form, the physical layout and structure of a city, including street patterns, building density, and land use. Human settlements vocabulary. Human settlement, a place where people establish a community to live, which may range from a small village to a large city. Settlement pattern, the spatial distribution and arrangement of human dwellings, such as linear, clustered, or dispersed. Rural settlement, a small, low-density human habitation typically based on agriculture or natural resources, often far from urban centers. Urban settlement, a densely populated area characterized by infrastructure, institutions, and services typically found in towns and cities. Permanent settlement, a place where people live continuously with long-term housing and infrastructure. Temporary settlement, a settlement not intended for long-term residents, often used by nomads, migrants, or disaster evacuees. Planned settlement, a community that is systematically designed and constructed before being inhabited, often featuring organized layouts and zoning. Unplanned settlement, a settlement that grows spontaneously without government planning, often leading to informal housing and inadequate services. Informal settlement, a residential area where housing has been constructed without legal rights, planning, or proper infrastructure. Village, a small human settlement typically located in a rural area, often dependent on farming or local resources. Hamlet, a very small rural settlement, often consisting of a few houses and no central services. Hamlets are formed near water sources or farmland, or as a satellite of a larger village due to agricultural activity. Megacity, a city with a population of over 10 million people. It grows rapidly due to rural to urban migration, industrialization, and global economic opportunities. A megalopolis, a very large and heavily populated urban region that consists of several interconnected cities and metropolitan areas. These cities are geographically close and functionally linked through economic activity, infrastructure, transportation systems, and communication networks. Town, a medium-sized urban area that is larger than a village but smaller than a city, offering more services and infrastructure. City, a large, permanent urban settlement with a dense population, diverse infrastructure, and complex governance. Metropolitan area, a large-scale urban region that includes a central city and its surrounding suburbs and towns. Hinterland, the area surrounding a city or port that provides resources and receives goods and services. Settlement hierarchy, a classification system that ranks settlements from smallest to largest based on population and services. Resettlement, the process of moving people to a new location, often due to natural disasters, conflict, or development projects. Evacuation center, a temporary shelter used during emergencies where displaced people can stay safely. Housing scheme, a government or private plan to develop housing, often targeting low or middle-income families. Residential area, a zone within a settlement designated primarily for housing rather than commercial or industrial purposes. Shelter, a basic structure that offers protection from the elements and provides a place to live, especially during emergencies. Tenure security, the assurance that an occupant or homeowner will not be arbitrarily evicted or displaced. Slum upgrading, the process of improving infrastructure and living conditions in informal or underserved communities. Homestead, a house with surrounding land, usually self-sufficient, found in rural or agricultural regions. Nomadic settlement, temporary dwellings established by people who move from place to place with their livestock. Encampment, a temporary settlement, often made of tents or makeshift shelters, typically used by refugees or military personnel. Public housing, government-provided housing aimed at providing affordable homes to low-income families. High-density settlement, a settlement with a large population living within a small area, common in cities and megacities. Low-density settlement, a settlement where homes are spread out, often found in rural or suburban areas. Eco-village, a sustainable, self-sufficient community designed to minimize environmental impact through green practices. Communal living, a form of settlement where people share common areas and responsibilities, such as food preparation and child care. Settlement expansion, the process by which settlements grow in size due to population increase or economic activity. Involuntary relocation, when people are forced to move due to circumstances like war, land acquisition, or environmental changes. Housing crisis, a situation where housing is unaffordable, unavailable, or inadequate for a large portion of the population. Resilience in settlements. The ability of a settlement to withstand shocks and stresses like disasters or economic downturns. Overcrowding. When too many people live in a space that cannot adequately support their needs. Land tenure. The legal rights or arrangements under which land is owned, occupied, or used. Demographic pressure. Stress placed on settlements and services due to rapid population growth or migration. Settlement displacement. The forced or voluntary movement of people from one settlement to another, often due to environmental or political reasons. Host community. The local population that accommodates migrants, refugees, or displaced people. Reconstruction. The rebuilding of homes and infrastructure after a disaster or conflict. Settlement infrastructure. The basic physical systems, roads, water, electricity, required to support human settlements. Permanent housing. Long-term housing solutions designed to support stable living conditions. Transitional housing. Temporary accommodation that bridges the gap between emergency shelters and permanent housing. Sustainable settlement. A settlement developed in a way that meets current needs without harming future generations. Migration-induced settlement. A community formed due to population movements, often from rural to urban areas. Resilient communities. Settlements that can adapt to challenges such as climate change, economic shifts, or health crises. Urban-rural interface. The zone where urban and rural areas meet, often experiencing rapid transformation and development. Habitat restoration. The process of returning a settlement's natural environment to a healthier, more functional state. Natural disasters vocabulary. Natural disaster. A sudden and extreme event caused by natural forces such as earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes that leads to destruction and loss of life. Earthquake. A violent shaking of the Earth's surface caused by the sudden movement of tectonic plates, often resulting in damage to structures and lives. Aftershock. A smaller earthquake that occurs after the main earthquake, potentially causing additional damage to already weakened areas. Tsunami. A large sea wave caused by underwater earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or landslides, which can flood coastal areas with devastating effects. Volcanic eruption. An explosion of lava, ash, and gases from a volcano, potentially destroying everything in its path and affecting air quality. Lava flow. Molten rock that pours from a volcano during an eruption, often burning or burying anything in its way. Ash fall. Volcanic ash released into the atmosphere during an eruption that falls to the ground, affecting air quality, crops, and infrastructure. Hurricane, cyclone, typhoon. A powerful rotating storm with high winds and heavy rain, known as a hurricane in the Atlantic, cyclone in the Indian Ocean, and typhoon in the Pacific. Storm surge. A rise in sea level caused by a storm's wind and pressure that can flood coastal areas rapidly. Tornado. A fast-spinning column of air extending from a thunderstorm to the ground, capable of severe destruction. Flood. An overflow of water onto normally dry land, often caused by heavy rain, overflowing rivers, or dam failures. Flash flood. A sudden, intense flood usually caused by heavy rainfall or rapid snowmelt in a short period of time. Landslide. The movement of rock, soil, or debris down a slope, often triggered by rain, earthquakes, or human activity. Mudslide. A type of landslide involving a fast-moving flow of water-saturated earth material, often destructive in hilly areas. Drought, an extended period of unusually low rainfall that leads to water shortages, crop failure, and environmental stress. Heat wave, a prolonged period of excessively hot weather that can pose health risks and strain energy resources. Wildfire, bushfire, an uncontrolled fire that rapidly spreads across forests, grasslands, or bush, fueled by dry vegetation and wind. Avalanche, a large mass of snow, ice, and rocks that slides swiftly down a mountain slope, often burying structures or people in its path. Blizzard, a severe snowstorm characterized by strong winds, low visibility, and heavy snowfall, which can disrupt daily life and travel. Hailstorm, a storm that produces balls or lumps of ice, hail, capable of damaging crops, vehicles, and buildings. Seismic activity, movements in the Earth's crust, including earthquakes and tremors, often monitored to predict future disasters. Epicenter, the point on the Earth's surface directly above the origin of an earthquake. Richter scale, a logarithmic scale used to measure the magnitude or strength of an earthquake. Disaster preparedness, actions taken in advance to reduce the impact of disasters, including education, drills, and emergency planning. Disaster risk reduction, DRR, strategies and practices aimed at minimizing vulnerabilities and disaster impacts on communities and infrastructure. Emergency response, the immediate actions taken to address the effects of a disaster, such as rescue, relief, and recovery efforts. Evacuation plan, a planned route and procedure for leaving a dangerous area in the event of a disaster. Early warning system, a system that detects potential disasters in advance and alerts people to take safety measures. Search and rescue, the coordinated effort to find and assist people affected by disasters and bring them to safety. Disaster management, the organization and coordination of efforts to prevent, respond to, and recover from disasters. First aid, immediate medical care given to a person suffering from a sudden illness or injury, especially during emergencies. Emergency shelter, a temporary structure or location used to protect displaced people from the elements and provide basic needs. Humanitarian aid, material or logistical assistance provided to people in need during disasters, including food, water, medicine, and shelter. Climate disaster, a disaster that results from climate-related events, such as heat waves, floods, and cyclones, often linked to global warming. Environmental refugee, a person forced to leave their home due to environmental conditions such as droughts, floods, or hurricanes. Disaster resilience, the ability of individuals, communities, or systems to recover quickly from the impacts of disasters. Risk assessment, the process of identifying and evaluating potential threats and vulnerabilities in an area. Hazard map, a map that highlights areas prone to specific natural disasters to assist in planning and risk reduction. Catastrophe, an extreme disaster causing widespread destruction, disruption, and long-term suffering. Mitigation, efforts to reduce the severity or likelihood of disasters, such as constructing levees or earthquake-resistant buildings. Emergency supplies, essential items such as food, water, batteries, and medicine kept ready for use in a disaster. Crisis management, the strategies used by organizations or governments to deal with unexpected and disruptive emergencies. Rehabilitation, the process of restoring communities and services to normalcy after a disaster. Contingency plan, a prepared strategy or backup plan for dealing with unexpected disasters or emergencies. Shelter in place, an emergency procedure where individuals remain indoors during disasters instead of evacuating. Civil defense, government-organized systems and programs designed to protect civilians during wartime or natural disasters. Zoning laws, regulations that determine how land can be used in a region, often used to reduce disaster risk by restricting construction in hazard-prone areas. Disaster insurance, financial protection policies that cover damages caused by natural disasters. Recovery phase, the post-disaster stage focused on rebuilding infrastructure, restoring services, and healing communities. Global Disaster Database, MDAT, a worldwide resource for tracking and analyzing disasters to improve preparedness and response planning.